So before we get started, I'd just like to inform everybody that this is a board of directors meeting. And we're going to treat it as a board of directors meeting where the board gets together and discusses business that is in the agenda. We will not entertain questions or talk to anybody outside of the board during the meeting. We have allocated 3 minutes to the individual at the end of the meeting. That is the only time we will discuss any other topics. We will not discuss the agenda or anything that we're discussing about the agenda. Okay? Barry is the acting sergeant arms for the meeting, and he'll act accordingly during the meeting. All right? So I want to call this meeting to order and stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Point of order. State statute 720 allows 5 minutes per item on the agenda at the time that they are discussed.
We're now allotting 3 minutes. Okay, and also I'd like to introduce Jacob Eisner, he's the HOA legal counsel.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. And I'd also like to welcome a couple of new neighbors to the neighborhood. Can you please introduce yourself?
Where do you live, sir?
We're at 819 Grand Reserve.
And I guess we have another new neighbor here.
My name is Susan, and we're 866 Grand Reserve. We've been here about a month.
Okay, let's do the roll call. John Lee? Here. Dr. O?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
Barry?
Here.
John? Here.
The meeting was duly noticed, signs were placed out front. There is a notice on the bulletin board, and I'm assuming it was noticed on Channel 63.
It was not.
Oh, it was not noticed on Channel.
The agenda.
Oh, the agenda wasn't, the meeting was.
The agenda didn't have to be noticed. I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 5th, 2014.
Has anyone in the community seen the minutes? Have they been posted anywhere, public?
No.
Why not?
It's a board meeting. Nobody else has to see it. It's a board meeting.
Okay, I asked again, we're not going to discuss anything here. Okay, it doesn't have to be published.
All right.
I'll second that meeting.
You're asking
If you want to see the minutes of the meeting,
You're asking to, wait a
you can
second.
go to Pinnacle.
Wait a second. You're asking to approve something with the board, which are minutes, which should be published within 2 weeks of that meeting. And if they're not published, then you can't approve minutes that the community has not had a chance to review. That is the Federal Freedom of Information Act, and Mr. Esquire, I'm sure that you can, I'm not sure what you can do, except quit.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah, we're going to run this meeting in a professional manner. We are friends and we're neighbors, and we should have the same decorum in here as we would in a court of law. So please think about that, and let's have that type of interaction because that's what we would expect.
Same decorum as a court of law.
Yes.
So I guess we
It should
You
be.
need
I mean, there should be
a
respect.
corporate.
There should be respect, for the board because the board is, has been either elected or appointed to serve the general, population, and that's what we're trying to do. So, but I mean, we don't need to be, insulting or derogatory because that accomplishes nothing.
Yeah. Do we need to publish this before we, Jacob, do we?
Go ahead. You can move forward with approving. And then, if anybody would like copies of it, you certainly have a right to request copies of any meeting minutes.
Okay, make a motion.
I make a motion, again, to approve the minutes of the meeting of April 5th, 2014.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I know there's been a lot of talk regarding security, and the vendors. And it really blew up ever since the back end, was dismantled, for lack of another word. The gate has been replaced, and I have been in constant touch with Lieutenant Carmichael from the St. Lucie Police Department. And if anybody has noticed that, quite frequently now, the St. Lucie Police Department is going through the community on a regular basis. Mr. Andrews? Tom Andrews,
A neighbor.
who's a neighbor here in the Vineyards, he runs what they call the Community Watch Patrol for the Port St. Lucie area. I've been in talk with him, I know Jack, you talked to him. He is also sending people in on a regular basis, and you'll see them, they also drive in Port St. Lucie police cars, and they were in constant touch with the Port St. Lucie Police Department. And they come in during the day, and they're coming in at night. Okay, so if you see them, it's not because they're investigating something, they're here to watch out for us and our security. Okay? We're also in the process of looking at installing gates in the pedestrian entrances in both the front and the back gates. John Victor will talk more about that when he gets his report. And that's what we're doing today. Okay? I mean, there are a lot of other things we can look at, but for today, that's all we're going to do until such time as we come up with a better solution. I don't think it's any more insecure than it was 10 years ago. Okay? We all know that we had a couple of break-ins. One was a major group of people from the Palm Beach area which have been arrested. They caught them and they were keying on foreclosed homes. We had one other break-in. The police know who the people are. They're under surveillance, and hopefully someday soon they'll make an arrest of those individuals. I mean, thanks to Jeff Locke and his cameras, we know these arrests were made with his large effort to supply the St. Lucie Police Department with all the film that we had available to us through his efforts. And I want to thank Jeff for that.
Judge,
We're not taking any questions now.
okay, look, are the attorneys here?
Okay, so that's all I have on the security topic at this particular time.
You're saying that there's no comments, you're not allowing any comments to anything that you speak on?
Not when we're talking board business.
Even if it's misrepresentation?
Let me clarify. It's not that you can't comment, we're just asking, we're going to take comments at the end of the meeting.
Right.
So that the board can get through the agenda today. If anybody doesn't want to stick around, they can leave. Those who want to discuss it, have the opportunity to discuss it.
Yes, what about the 720 that says that we can have 5 minutes on any item when it's presented so that we can present our things before the board makes their decisions?
I think you may be confusing that with the part about members' meetings. This is a board meeting.
I'm sorry?
This is a board meeting, not a members' meeting.
It's a quarterly board meeting.
It's a quarterly board meeting. And at the same time, I know that it's in there that it says, and there has been court cases where this has been upheld, that the board has to allow up to 5 minutes on any item during the time it's under discussion. Now, I know you're an attorney and I'm not, but this has been researched.
Okay, Linda.
The committee changes are as follows. The Buildings and Grounds Committee has a new member, Charlie LaPella, a new chairman, John Victor. Vince Crawford informed me that one of his committee members, and that would be the Rules and Regulations Committee, Tom Haldane, has resigned as he has moved out of the neighborhood, and Vince Crawford appointed Jack Vanek in his place. At this time, the board would like to thank all committees and all volunteers for stepping up to the plate and helping not only the board, but the entire community. And the help and the work that you do is amazing. Thank you, very, very sincerely.
I have a fundamental objection, Dr. Rick Nappy, 959 Southwest Greenway Boulevard.
Yes, I will give you a copy.
Should we move to
You know,
the next item?
Listen, Jack Bannock, John Baker, this attorney,
Mr. Knappy.
they all quit and abandoned the fiduciary responsibility in 2013. You're reappointing them.
Please take your seat.
You're reappointing them
Please
Yeah,
take your
I
seat.
mean,
to positions of authority.
You know, we cannot have, you know.
That's a fundamental flaw.
Time out. That's your first one. The second time you do this, you're gonna be asked to leave. Okay?
Well,
And if that
that's
continues,
right.
I will adjourn this meeting immediately. And we'll reconvene at a later
And we
date.
hate to waste time of all these good people who agreed to attend.
But I'm not a good person.
Yeah?
That's what I'm saying, right? All these good people, the exception of me, everyone else's privacy, with the exception of
Time
mine.
out. I told you how we're gonna run this meeting. And I'm gonna stick to it, Rick.
Good.
And I expect that same from you.
I will do my best.
All right, Don? Okay, can you treasurer report?
I have Don Lee, and I've been the treasurer for 7 months, and I'm standing up, and I'm still standing. We started the year off by way of an audit of all our 2013 books, and it came out clean. So we started the year off very good. Budget year to date is 252 grand approximately, and we're within $200 of that. So the budget to actual is very good. Unfortunately, we had 3 different incidents with our back gate. It was a tremendous inconvenience to all of us, but we didn't lose a dime. It was all funded by whoever did the damage, and the checks are in our account, so that came out good. As I go through the year, if you have any questions about anything regarding the books, just give me a call and I can clarify. Sometimes you hear things or you see things on emails if somebody says something out and it's not factual. I'll give you an example. Someone made a statement that the insurance in 2012, our insurance went up 100%. Well, actually it went up 3%, which isn't normal. But anytime you hear something that's outlandish, probably not true, you give any one of us a call and we'll clarify that. On a positive note, year to date we've had 14 home sales, which is good, and 4 new leases. So activity real estate wise is picking up. I get to look at the packages of how much they're going for, and our prices are going up. Matter of fact, on a few properties, I think they could have asked more and probably gotten more, but they were still concerned with moving their properties. So basically, that's all I have, John. Oh, no, before I sit down, one of the things started last year by the previous board was a reserve study that was done. And I think John instituted that, and he was the chairman, and I'd like him to come up and report on the reserve study.
John, for some of the people here, you should explain what the reserve study is and what we hope you'll accomplish.
Okay, I'm John Victor, 851 Southwest Grand Reserve. I was a former board member, and actually the board prior to my board was concerned about our reserve funding. I looked at it and I was concerned. The board after me looked at it and was concerned. We were not concerned about the amount of money that was going in. We were concerned on how the amounts were determined and allocated. A little bit of history. The infrastructure for the vineyard was put in place in 2001. The developer had turnover in December of 2006, gave it to the residents. In 2008, because there were issues with the way the developer turned the community over to the residents, the board at that time, the original board, had an engineering study done. to document the flaws in the vineyards and use that to go after the developer. The engineering study denoted 1 page for replacement costs and lifespans. The board, the original board, used that study to formulate the reserves. So the experts recommend a complete reserve study for a community our size every 5 to 7 years. We just had one completed. The bids were started by the board I was on, completed by the next board. I'll refer to it as the Maurice board. Bids were obtained, but they said they were not evaluated. Current board asked me to take the process forward. I contacted the companies, I interviewed them, I checked their references, I talked to 20 different communities who had reserve studies and got their feelings. Based on that, we actually recommended that this board go with the higher priced reserve study. It was, I think, about $600 more than the low bid. We got an excellent package done by engineers. I saw the initial draft. We sat down with the engineers again. There were some issues that they didn't understand. For example, they had built in cleaning of the storm drains leading to the lakes. The board was in the process of transitioning that. The St. Lucie West Services District has assumed that responsibility, which saves us money. Therefore, they went back and looked at that. They did not understand or know that that fence that the city put in out there was deeded over to the association. So we have responsibility for that fence now. They plugged that in. They identified 27 components that should be watched. They projected useful lives of it. They looked at our budget. They looked at our existing reserve funding. And they made a recommendation. And I think it's surprising to see how close the original board did with that raw data that they had. Community-wide, we are putting in $34,859 into reserves. Each resident putting in $181.55. Basically, for your dues, you are putting in $15.13 a month into the reserves. And you could consider that insurance. What you're insuring is that this community will always have good roads, that the pool heater will always work, because you're setting money aside. My grandmother used to put money in little envelopes for the washer, for the refrigerator. That's the way old people did it. Put $1 in a week or $1 in a month, whatever she had, because she knew things wouldn't last forever. Well, we're doing that. But you know what? My grandmother was so rigid. If she didn't have enough money in there and the washer broke, she wouldn't take the money from the refrigerator envelope. What the reserve study is recommending, first, is to take our reserves that are restricted reserves. We have reserves that are specifically for the wall and gates. We have reserves that are in an account at clubhouse. We have reserves that are for roads, for paving. By statute, You can't take money from the wall account and pay to fix the roads. The first thing they recommend is to no longer use the restricted reserve accounts, to stop additional funding in the restricted reserve accounts and to use a pooled reserve. You use the pooled reserve and you allocate based on this document. You would not want to do that if you didn't have the document, the spreadsheet, taking you out 30 years, estimating when things are going to fail, when you're going to have to spend money. They projected all that. Now, what they also said, you need more money. Now, again, you are putting in $15.13 a month, each resident share. And this money has been the same since inception. When you bought, if you were the original person buying this house back in 2003, 4, 5, the builder said your dues are $150 a month, $450 a quarter. And he told you that for a reason. He told you he kept it low for a reason. So you buy a house. When the original board came in and saw that wasn't enough. And he also didn't put money in reserves. They did their calculations, they raised the dues to $623 a quarter back in 2008 or 7. It hasn't changed. You tell me what else has not gone up. Now, okay, you ready for the big deal?
Wait.
The money?
You can tell us?
No, yeah.
Tell us why it hasn't gone up?
Why
Why it has not gone up?
the dues haven't gone up?
Yeah, why haven't?
I don't want to have communication with you, but I will answer you one question.
You proposed the question. So it's okay, you can answer.
No, I think let John talk because, he's getting to the point where we need to go, but
You have
he's
to-
not in a position to answer why. He's talking to the
You
reserve.
posed the question.
It was hypothetical.
The sound management of the prior boards and the houses that the prior boards took over and leased helped a tremendous amount. That additional income above and beyond what the residents contribute, in my opinion, was one of the major factors that the board never had to raise or reduce. Again, $15.13 a month. Reserve study recommends they be raised an additional $8.52 a month for the first year. They also recommend then a 1.2% increase each consecutive year,
For how many years?
every year.
Every year.
Every year, to adjust for inflation, 1.2%. I believe, my recommendation to the board, when you get the entire report, sit down and analyze it at your budget workshop, I recommend you consider $9 a month rather than $52. I believe that should carry you 5 years. Or I would even recommend you go $10 a month per resident. That should guarantee 7 years with no reserve component increases. And after 7 years, spend the money, do another study. They will reevaluate the stuff, roads. As an aside, Heatherwood, our neighbor, they were constructed in 89 and 90. They are repaving their roads next year. They're going to make repairs, they're going to strip the surface and put 1.5 inches top coat on it. Do the math, figure out where we're going to be. That's my evaluation. When you look at the total report, at the documentation, I think it is sound. I think it's very well written. I think it's clear, it's concise. This is the original document. We turned over to Pinnacle. It's available for residents to look at.
Okay, thank you, John. What the board is going to do is we're going to schedule a workshop to discuss the reserve session. And then a vote on what we think that we should do. We'll have to give a 14-day notice to the workshop so that people can attend the workshop and listen to what the reserve study is all about, listen to what we're going to be discussing and what we're going to be voting on. Okay? So that notice will go out as soon as we're able to schedule a date. That's fine. Make a motion.
I make a motion that the workforce should be established to go ahead and do this study, the research study, and the $10 increase that have been recommended for the $10 a month per resident increase that have been recommended, and in order to, in the next quarterly meeting, be approved by the board or not.
Well, we can approve it at the workshop. I'd rather do that separately, as a separate line item, the reserve study. It does not have to be a board meeting, we can approve it at the workshop.
Okay, so
We just need to do our due diligence, study, go over the fine and come up. And the 5 of us need to do that together. That's why we're having a workshop.
So my motion reads that the workforce should be established to study the increase of $10 a month that have been recommended, and so that this will be approved or disapproved by the board in the workforce meeting. Okay.
And I will second that motion that the board discuss dates and establish when we are going to have
Okay, the workshop.
a workshop where we can discuss these issues.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean that, Dr. O mentioned $10, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll vote on $10.
But we will discuss all the options.
Okay.
Excuse me, John, I'm confused. Are we talking about an increase in our assessments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then this meeting is total, that decision here is totally out of place. It wasn't noticed to the homeowners. That is required.
I just said we're going to schedule a
John,
workshop.
there's not a meeting, there's no decision being made to increase the assessments at this time.
No.
They're just presenting the committee report and their recommendation. They're going to have a meeting at a later date where it will be approved or disapproved. And this
Duly
is not the
noticed
meeting.
duly noticed meeting.
Well, you said that you could
To
approve it,
discuss.
you could approve it at the workshop.
Have the workshop.
Or not.
What
We'll
people,
discuss it. All we're going to
They'll
do
be
is discuss
discussed.
it.
people will be invited to the meeting.
Yeah, the motion on the table is to establish a time and date for a workshop that everyone's invited to review the documents and have opportunity to look at the documents in detail, because it's a very thorough document, many, many pages, photographs, charts, so everyone can come informed.
Just one question, is what Mr. Victor just reported on, is that document available?
It will be, or it is, is it available in Pinnacle?
What would the title of it be?
Reserve study.
Precision 2024 Reserve Study for the Vineyard at St. Lucie West Residents Association, Port St. Lucie.
Well, that one I have, I'm talking about what you just presented. Since it's part of the record.
This is what I presented. If you have it, you have it, you read it.
Okay, let's move on. John?
Well, we need to vote, there's a motion.
Call for motion.
Go to the vote.
A second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, John, just to conclude the treasurer's report, I anticipate being at budget year end unless something really strange happens. So I think it's going to be managed very well for the rest of the year. Thank you, John, and That concludes the treasury report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman John.
Motion approved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who was it?
That was the treasurer's report. Done.
I second.
Dr. Corey said. Okay, the next report is, you're up again. Buildings and grounds report.
I hope you make copies. I don't want to sit here for an hour listening to you again.
Thank you.
Okay, on the back of the table was a document that the Building and Grounds Committee report, which shows what we have completed in projects so far. The document that I gave to the board, ladies and gentlemen, yours has a second page, which shows current projects which we are working on. Until they're complete, we won't report them. Okay, Building and Grounds. The first item, defibrillator. The Maurice Board voted to remove the defibrillator that we had here based on their concerns that the defibrillator had not been properly maintained or serviced. We have the benefit of having the St. Lucie County Fire Chief living in our community, Ron Parrish. We have retired fire instructors who are certified in defibrillators. They're extremely knowledgeable on the effort. The Chief and Lunatina took the defibrillator, which Chief Parrish indicates is the same type of defibrillator they use. They had it certified. We bought new pads for it, because the pads have a 5-year life. The defibrillator is certified, ready to be installed again. Since the board, Maurice Board, had an action to remove it, you need a motion to reinstall the defibrillator. We will have Buildings and Grounds will have an annual maintenance check on it. So you guys make a motion, say okay.
I make a motion that the defibrillator will be restored.
Do you have insurance to cover that?
And I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Don't need insurance. Good Samaritan law protects it.
No, there isn't. No, okay.
John, please keep.
Okay. Front entrance towers. I have 3 bids solicited for the man gates for the front entrance tower. The low bid is from RSS at $3,456.13. The gate proposal, all gate proposals as originally written, had a 5-digit simplex key lock on both the entrance and the exit side. After further discussion with individual board members, they believe we should not have a keypad on the inside to get out. So we're going to have to make some minor adjustments to the gate to make sure no one could reach their hand in it and push down the ADA lever lock. I'm confident that the amount, the changes will not result in any increase over the $3,456. So I would like the board to make a motion to authorize Buildings and Grounds to proceed with
You said just the front.
just the front.
What's going on with the back?
The back, I propose to take the lock set that they were going to install on the inside of the front, have them put it on the back gate.
Will that be included in the $3,400?
I believe I can negotiate that. I will attempt to. The only thing we may want to do, and we can do a separate bid, will probably be under $500, Once we secure the back gate, our fence does not go down to the water.
Exactly.
So we will have to add a 6 or 8 foot section of fence.
But we would, I think we would need to get permission first from the St. Lucie
We
West
will all
Service.
check with the services
Did you
district,
see
get all the prior.
problem with doing that, John?
Yeah.
No, Dennis, you just have to enter into work authorization, it would cost you $100, and unfortunately, it's a process you have to go through. That's what I think.
But not a problem getting.
No, it should not be an issue.
Okay.
Well, John, I would actually, I'd like to make that a priority.
Okay.
To have that done.
Okay, you're authorized to do that, great.
Do we need to get permission from Hollywood to do that?
I don't believe so, but I have a good working relationship with the Hollywood people.
As far as the down to the water's edge, that belongs to the services district, it doesn't belong to Heatherwood, so that would have to come to us. As far as the gate, that's,
Well, it's our gate, so we have a professional lease, so, okay.
Could I just ask one question, John? Why are we not using a fob as opposed to a combination?
Or barcodes.
Money,
But everyone gets those codes. That's the whole problem with the
we're gonna
security.
change the code. You'll get notices, we'll change the code as often as the board feels it's necessary. They can change it every month, every 3 months, every 6 months.
If people want a special assessment, the board's willing to do anything you want. If you want a guardhouse with an officer in it 24/7, again, somebody wants a special assessment, somebody wants more security, the board would be willing.
We're the only people that are still
Well,
using a
yeah.
CAD code.
Well,
We're the only people.
Now, could
that-
we, if that's something that is important, could we talk to it, at the end?
Sure,
So we can
sure.
move it along?
Okay.
But the question I have for Dennis, is there some set of specifications of the type of fence that we need? We'll get that with that application to the water district?
no, there's no specification for the fence.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to move this quickly. Cameras.
Wait a minute, we're gonna,
Oh, we should make them, wait, we should vote on.
Well, but John told me to go ahead, so I thought, okay.
no, we gotta vote on it.
Yeah,
Have your vote. Drink water.
I make a motion that we approve going ahead with installing pedestrian gates in the front towers and securing the back pedestrian gate with the keypad. And I,
That's it?
Okay.
I second that. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, next item, cameras. The community has 25 cameras between the back gate, the front gate, and the clubhouse area. We have 24 operational cameras, and we have 1 dead soldier. The broken camera is the one on the far wall, which is beyond repair. We attempted to reboot it, it has failed. It is a analog camera. It has an approximate value, replacement value today, $350. Buildings and Grounds is in the process, along with the select members of the board, looking into a total upgrade or reconfiguration of the security system. We have recommendations from RSS, we have recommendations from Wadeware. What I would like the board to approve is to start the upgrades by purchasing 2 digital megapixel cameras for the front gate and the back gate, 1 each. These would be the license plate reading cameras. That is our weakest area with security. We get a pretty good read during the day, but we have difficulty with glare with light. The new cameras will have infrared lighting, which will give us a clear shot of license plates day and night. They work to get these people, but boy, if we upgrade them, it will be great. And if we do that, we will take one of the cameras we remove replace this camera, and then we'll have a spare.
How much is this
How
one
much
cost?
Those cameras, depending which model we choose, an ultra-low light camera would be $400, or an auto zoom would be $500 each.
I'm guessing you would discuss this with Jeff Loud, who is, it seems.
Jeff was at these meetings, Jeff is,
Right, but
Yes.
even to decide on the camera.
yeah, so what I'm asking, I guess, the issue we have is, your board policy is anything over $500 requires a bid.
What's the warranty?
The warranty on them, 3-year manufacturer's warranty.
How much?
3 years.
That's what you say, about approximately $1,000 for both. That's installed.
I don't have a firm bid, but I think we should proceed because we have a broken camera. And I can spend the $350 without bids to replace that with the same type. I don't think we should do that.
No. So you recommend, you want us to approve you
I want-
going ahead?
yeah.
With the investigation, getting the bids?
Let me get bids and give me a ceiling. Give me a ceiling of $1,200. Authorize me to spend that much with bids.
You want approval for 2 cameras,
Yeah.
not to exceed $1,200,
Right.
and of course, we'll look at bids.
And that's installed.
Yeah. And if I can't get bids to cover that, I'll have to come back to the board meeting. So I'd like to.
Pushing that, John, too, since these are going to be the ones that are going to do the license plates. If you go to the AutoZoom, does it have the capability as a car piggybacks and gets faster to be able to accurately get that plate? Because I know some of the cameras can get the first car, but as cars piggyback and move faster, they blur.
12 power auto zoom, Samsung, ultra low light, true daylight CCD camera with 600 resolution in color, 700 resolution black and white, weatherproof rated, black LED infrareds. I would think that because it's a digital camera, because it's analog thing, it has to be. This is state of the art.
Okay. Because that's in reality, you get 2 or 3 cars whipping through, and the first is good.
Well, the resolution will be so much higher than what we have.
Now, that's the auto zoom.
Yes.
The other one doesn't have auto zoom.
The other one is not a auto zoom. The other one is 2.8 millimeter and 10 millimeter.
So the $1,200 will be for
$500, so, give me a $1,500 check. Well,
You said 1,200. You said 1,200.
well, now, I'm spending $1,000 on a can, okay, I'll get.
I make a motion to approve the Buildings and Grounds Committee up to $1,200 to purchase cameras for the front and rear gate security cameras.
I believe that it's going to be not enough, in my opinion.
Should we raise it?
Yeah, because the problem, I just recently had that from my office, it's very expensive to set up that system and all that. In my opinion, we're going to fall short.
Yeah.
And we need that if we want to increase the security of this place.
Yeah.
I think that the,
No, I'm
and you,
How will it impact the budget? We have some money in it?
If you keep him talking, they keep throwing up.
We have money budget.
No, but there are funds available up to $1,200. Here's what I recommend. This is a security issue.
Yeah.
It is a proven fact over the last 6 months that our camera systems, with the help of others, got our money back on the damage of those gates back there. They're going to pay for themselves. It's just replacing 2 cameras. Our camera systems, the rest of our camera systems will be in place. So let's authorize the program, let him do it, and you get that over with. Now, the RSS contract for maintenance of our camera systems is coming due in August. So we should reevaluate that time, the whole system, as far as any enhancements or whatever.
Yeah. We can do that.
So do you
But
want
you know, what
to-
I'm hearing is, you're saying approve the 1,200, I'm hearing Dr. Rose say that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, my opinion is that it's going to consider that, you see, if we have to wait 2 months for the board to approve this in the next meeting, it's going to have a delay on the security. And I believe that if we approve 1,400, it will give you more leeway. So, because if you go over the 1,200, then it's not going to be done. That's what I am concerned about.
John, one other question, John. Do our computers at front and back, do they have enough memory to absorb these new cameras with the new density and all that stuff?
The computer in here is more than sufficient. The gate computers are marginal with 4 gig each. They will take 1 camera without a problem. If you do a complete digital upgrade, you're going to have to upgrade the memory on those computers.
But we're only doing
You're only doing
camera.
one.
So the question is,
Yes.
so yes, the answer is yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would go with 1,400. Will we?
All right.
Okay, why don't we, the
Well,
motion?
that's the same question again. Do we have the money?
If I could interject, if you're concerned about the pedestrian gates that we were talking about, that is a capital improvement, and I believe the board might want to consider that money coming from reserves. That's not an operational expenditure like fixing the air conditioner or something. And that, I think you have a $500 line item for security, which hasn't been tapped yet. Plus, there's camera money, so I think if you don't spend your gate money out of security.
We don't want to go over on that.
We're not going higher than 14.
Well,
Okay, we'll make it
I'll get the
14.
bids, I'll do my best.
I make a motion that we allot $1,400 for 2 new security cameras at front and back bay.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm getting tired of talking. I have one more thing.
Please make it quick.
The parking lot. The parking lot of this clubhouse is starting to deteriorate. If you read the entire reserve study, when they talk about paving, you will see that they believe, as engineers, there's an advantage to using a seal coat to perhaps extend the life. Some people say yes, some people say no. But irregardless of the roads, the parking lot itself is not the quality of the roads. Breaking up at the edges, you actually have grass coming through it, you have stains. It also needs to be, the lines have to be repainted, they're almost worn off. I have 1 bid so far for seal coating, commercial grade, what they do, what Heatherwood did in their whole community 5 years ago, $1,000. I don't have 1 bid so far. I have another man coming this week. Barry recommended it when he was at a seminar. Man sounded great, could evaluate all our roads for us. Don't know what his bid is going to be, but I would like you to give me approval to spend up to $1,000.
I'd like to see how to bid it.
You're going to get this, and if the bid is higher, the $1,000 will be the low bid. If the bid is lower, then we won't spend it.
I'm not a big proponent of seal coating. I mean, it's been my experience in the past that it just does not last. Once these things start to crack, they crack, and it's not going to seal them up. I mean, temporarily, in the summertime, you get it.
You're going to squeeze out a couple of years unless you want to repay it. I'll do whatever the board wants. That's what Buildings and Grounds was established for.
I know.
You know, Mr. Victor, you speak about the engineer, and actually the company that did this survey, if I'm not mistaken, they have 5 engineers on staff, only 1 lives in state, and that engineer was not on site in this survey. It was the underlings that came.
I mean, this could be brought up at the workshop, that'll be time for a lot of, interaction with
The woman was a structural engineer.
Should we table that? or-
Table it? That's not President Daniels.
Just table that one to the next.
Okay.
Get another bid.
We'll get bids and we'll
Yeah,
get.
we'll look at it at the next meeting. We have.
Okay, we're also going to look, when the next person comes, we're going to look at Classico because
Good, that's good.
is a concern.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, the only other thing I had, I'm not going to address it. Oh, no, oh, we'll have a big thing. Okay,
Make it quick.
home sales uncovered. Okay, irrigation. This is 2 bids for the irrigation contract. We have H2 irrigation, and we got a second bid from Valley Crest. The Buildings and Grounds Committee, at the last meeting, where we had Pete Rowland, Charlie Pella, Jack Bannock, and I, analyzed both bids because the bids have a fixed and a variable component in them. They have parts charges, they have labor charges, they have call-out charges. And we went and looked at 3 years actual expenditures from our existing vendor. The unanimous conclusion, an estimate was to go with H2O irrigation. They came in at 25,000 some dollars. Valley Crest came in base price 21,000. Now you say, well, why do you want to go with the higher one? Valley Crest would come once a month for a service. Any call out would be $45. Any parts would be at list price. H2O irrigation, we get instant response from Jeff Lauer. Looking at his responses, Jeff Lauer also manages the IT issue. Now we do pay him for doing the camera checks. We pay him $2,400 a year total for servicing 8 computers. That is built into his bid. Looking at it still, we see a $6,000 savings by going with H2O irrigation.
Based on the amount of work that he did.
Based on the amount of work that he does, not counting the response time. We have 200 and some call-outs for him. When the water's shooting up, Jeff gets his little golf cart, he or his wife, and they fix it. So, for budget purposes, because the contract has a variable component, Don, I recommend next year's budget, you budget 29,600. Because that's the average of 3 years of what we actually expended. That's a common area and 192 homes getting the service. So I recommend your approval of the H2O irrigation contract. That's submitted to us for evaluation.
I make a motion to approve the H2O contract.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm done.
Okay, the next report is the ARC report, and unfortunately he's not here, but Lou Tina, would you be willing to give the ARC? Thank you very much.
I'm not going to take that.
There's no love for you.
This will be short and sweet. The committee has 5 members, obviously, and sometimes we're here and sometimes not with family situations. That's where Corky's today, moving his daughter out of college. However, in the last quarter, we had 33 applications that were presented to the ARC committee. 32 have been approved, sometimes some with conditions as per the rules. And the only one that was not approved was an outdoor swing set that was just not with the Mediterranean style and the rest of the development. So all those people that say that we're bad people that let anything happen are wrong. 32 out of 33. And it's a continual thing. Every 2 weeks, we're looking at 2-3 applications. So people are improving their homes. They're going through the process, which is what we really want. We want you to just present, go through the process, and we welcome anybody that wants to make any changes. Just read the rules.
Thank you very much, Lou. I personally want you to know that I know how much work goes into looking at the ARC application. When you submit them, they're not just looked at, if there's questions, they call you. So again, thank you for all the work you do. I have the covenant report from Peter Rucker. Hello, everybody.
During the second quarter of this year, we've had 32 letters of non-compliance, and out of that group, we did have a $1,000 fine, but we have had no appeals. I'd like to thank the appeals committee. They've done a wonderful job of being available and giving up their time. I'd like to thank them for their time. And so for the year, the total number of violations is 110. And all homeowners need repairs or corrections. Okay? Any questions? We're very pleased. We went from having appeals every month to having no appeals.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The landscape report, Ingeborg, do you have anything to report?
Just very shortly, we just concentrated our effort this year so far on the front entrance, and everybody has seen what's been going on. We had to take all the shrubbery out because of the fern invasion we had, and then had to treat the soil for about 6 weeks before we could replant. And basically, we've had very positive feedback. And we're very happy about that. We're waiting for the plants to grow, and by next year, this time, it should be looking beautiful.
Thank you.
Your hard work shows. Vince Crawford, the rules and regulations report. Vince Crawford is not able to attend the meeting, and he did send me a report, which I will very briefly give. The committee conducted 2 surveys. The first survey, the community's positions regarding basketball structures. The following are the results with each question. Basketball units should be allowed for use in the driveway and stored completely out of the site when not in use. Basketball units should be allowed in the driveway and stored on the driveway or on the side of the home with the approval of neighbors. Basketball units should not be allowed at any time. The results were available to every homeowner, but what the basketball survey showed was leave it as is. The rules should not be changed. Basketball units should be allowed for use in driveways and stored completely out of sight when not in use. The second survey had to do with yard waste. As you know, our rules state yard waste must be put out no earlier than 6 p.m. the day before pickup. The survey asked about time changes concerning when yard waste should be put out. Yard clippings and yard trash are scheduled for pickup only on Mondays and may be placed at the curb anytime Sunday. Yard clippings scheduled and trash scheduled for pickup on Mondays shall not be placed at the curb until 4:30 Sunday evening. And yard clippings and trash is scheduled for pickup only on Monday shall not be placed at the curb until 6 p.m. Sunday evening. The majority of the respondents wanted the time changed to 4:30 p.m. Sunday evening, and that would be a rule and regulation change. And perhaps when we do, this will be discussed at the duly 14-day notice board workshop. And again, that would be a rule and regulation change. Okay. The next item on the agenda.
You don't want to continue reading his entire statement?
Have you seen this statement?
I have
Have
right
you
here.
seen Vince Crawford?
I have right here.
Do we want to read it?
Yeah.
I wasn't in the, I didn't want to embarrass anybody. You know, I mean, that's just Vince Crawford stating what he felt needed to be stated to an individual. Okay? I mean, he saw it, obviously you've seen it, you know?
I just asked.
Interesting.
Beg your pardon?
It's interesting that you asked.
Well, I mean, if you're reading the statement, I thought.
Okay, new business.
That's interesting.
Go ahead, move on.
New business. John, we have viewed the landscape.
Okay, as you all know, you know, there have been issues, you know, with the landscape maintenance that takes place, you know, if you go to in the village. Not everybody is going to be happy. We cannot satisfy 192 people. There are going to be problems. We live in Florida. This is the rainy season. Okay? Lawnmowers are going to cause some damage. There's no doubt in my mind. And I don't care if we have the best lawn maintenance company in the world that's going to happen. There are going to be mistakes. Okay? And we have been on top, and we will continue to be on top of the ownership of Nature's grounds to ensure that any damage that they do will get repaired. And if we have to do it over and over again, we will do it. Okay? That is the best we can do. You know, and 20 feet of that land belongs to the St. Lucie West District. You know, and we've had them down there numerous times because of numerous complaints. The ruts were there when Valley Crest was here. The ruts will be there 5 years from now. They're not going to go away. They're not going to stop. We are on Nature's grounds constantly about how close they should go to the bank and what equipment they should use. And we'll continue to get on, and we'll continue to get better. But it takes time. It's like anything, you don't change it overnight. Okay? Now, we have Nature's grounds contract coming up in February of next year. Yes, we will go out and we will get 2 other companies to bid on the bids. What we're also going to do, and I strongly recommend you people take this to heart, we are going to go out and change the covenants. We're going to ask each individual homeowner to go stand behind the board and approve that covenants change.
What covenants change is that?
To add the landscaping in the vineyards.
Can you explain that?
No. You're asking us to approve something.
You're saying.
I'm not asking anybody to approve anything yet. I'm just telling you what we're going to attempt to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
You will get something in the mail.
We're going to attempt.
Jake, maybe you want to explain it?
Yeah, we're going to draft an amendment, a proposed amendment, not for vote today. It'll be before all the members for vote on a change to your declaration to clarify that the association has the authority to maintain everybody's landscaping throughout the community.
Well, wait a second. You're talking about common area grounds or our private property? Because right now you do not have a universal contract. Is that what you're going to push for, a universal contract?
That's not what we're talking about, universal contract.
Well, I have a second question right here. At the end, all right, at the end you'll answer. At the end you'll answer. Okay.
But we're going to work hard to do that. I do not, myself personally, and I never did imagine that this community would want to see everybody do their own landscaping. Because this community will go to hell in a handbasket.
Or hire their own landscape company. Picture how this community.
You want 50 landscapers in it?
On any given day of the week.
Monday through Friday. Do you want landscaping that's consistent?
That's not the issue between the universal contract and no universal contract.
This is a document from the original developer. It is dated
John, you're making it hard for me not to get into this. Can we put this discussion off until it's opened up?
At the end. Yeah, well, to the end.
Okay, so anyway, this is what we're gonna attempt to do.
You will receive something in the mail. But please keep in mind, the original developer in 2002, on this price list, the bottom reads, this is a maintained community with a maintenance fee of $150 per month, which includes full lawn service and cable TV. The community is not a good fit for everyone, but from the time it was established, people have landscape maintenance included, and that, again, from the time it was established.
Linda, can we do this later during the conversation period?
Item would be, this board is going to establish a document request policy. We did not have the document request policy up until this time. Any resident who wanted one of our documents could go to Pinnacle at any time and request that document. Pinnacle, I believe legally, had 10 days to answer that request. Unless there was some reason that they couldn't provide the document, they always provided documents that were requested. Unfortunately, we had a resident request such a large amount of documents, and I will read you the documents that were requested, that we are now going to establish a document request policy. Part of it is actually, I believe all Pinnacle has to do by statute is give you 8 hours a month to request a month. These are the documents that were requested recently. Year-end financial statements for the years 2006 through 2013. Budgets for the years 2006 through 2013. Budget versus actual funds spent by account for the years 2006 through 2013. Bank statements and check facsimiles for the years 2007, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the first 6 months of 2014. General ledger detail for fiscal years 2007, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the first 6 months of 2001. All correspondence, including but not limited to mail, emails, invoices received, and covenants enforcement since 2010 until present, which is July 9, 2014. So, because of this document request form, as I said, we will be putting a policy in order, and perhaps that is something else we will talk about.
We don't need to talk about it if we should.
Exactly.
Okay.
And be aware that every HOA and condo association has a policy. It's just something that we have, and we need to correct that.
We
recommend.
Secretary Victor?
Staff.
Secretary Victor?
The store option.
Secretary Victor, if I may. You're intimating what? That this resident, whoever it is burdening the community?
I can answer that. We recommend, our firm personally recommends most of our associations to adopt policies just to help assist with the management companies because you're dealing with sensitive information, people's social security numbers in some cases, private information, you've got attorney-client privilege, so it's good to have a policy in place to assist the managers in providing those documents to the owners.
Oh, I wasn't talking about the policy request. I'm talking about the request itself.
No, but we'll move forward, but that's the reason. It was a recommendation from us. Again, it's a recommendation we make to most of our clients that they have that policy in place.
Here, and we're going to go ahead.
And what is that? What is it?
With their,
I'm sorry, John.
I'll be preparing a draft policy. They're just saying they want to go ahead and start working on it.
Oh,
Was that your question?
Yeah, I didn't know what you were alluding to, that's all.
Yeah, no policy's been put in place yet. I'll get a draft to them and then they'll go through it at their next board meeting.
Right. All right, the next item.
Are any of those documents sensitive?
Excuse me.
You would have to?
Excuse me.
Yes, John, please, we can't have an interruption. We're getting to the point where, we'll have the public to talk, so.
All right, the next item on the agenda. There was a survey, not a survey? Yeah, there was a survey that was sent out on door options, you know, installing different types of doors on the exterior, the front doors of the house. And the second part of the survey was to add more colors to the paint palette that we have today. The survey came back, Robert, what you thought?
You know, what we wanted to do is to open up and get an idea, you know, we're approaching some places 10 years on the doors, so people wanted a little more options than what is currently available. So we're going to be looking into selected options on doors that would include not just solid, but also glass type doors. But of course, everything has to be impact rated. So, and just be aware that these doors get very pricey because our doors are 36 by 72 doubles. So, you know, but we want to make the option available at maybe different price points, but to give you a choice because we know that sometimes people want to get maybe a more open feel because in some models it's very dark by the doors.
Barry, for those who don't know, these doors are all warranty. The problem is they send them to you raw. Okay? They can be completely replaced, but they send them to you without hinges and without hardware and unstained.
But it's only to the original owners.
Only the original.
So there's been a lot of people that have bought afterwards. So this would be for those people that bought and thought maybe they want to look at maybe another door option and those just big solid doors. So we're going to be looking into it. But again, we're going to try to make sure that the choices are at different levels and in different options. The other survey, was there something?
Yeah, I just want to say something about the doors. I live in ACTP and the sun in the afternoon is in my doors. And we decided some time ago to let somebody to paint the doors because the paint was peeling away. So somebody came and painted with a wood finish, I mean with a wood paint, and then it started peeling again. And we find out that doors are fiberglass, not wood.
Right.
So they give us, you know, we finally got somebody who was able to do it. It took 3 weeks to peel the paint completely in order to preserve the wood design that looks like wood, but it's really fiberglass. And then paint it, though. It looks well right now, but you know, it's very expensive. So it's very expensive to do that. And we couldn't choose any other color except the colors that were there. So that presented a big problem for us. And I'm sure that anybody who has this problem has the same little problem. So I think this is important. I think that we should consider in the future changing so that more paint colors will be available and more options will be available for the residents. Okay?
And as far as the paint colors, again, we're looking at maybe adding 3 new paint colors to the palette, and so we're looking at that. What we can do is maybe even at that next maybe open workshop, you know, have it around for people to take a look at what we picked. But we're looking at 3 additional paint colors to what's available now. That will keep the look and feel of the community as it's intended.
We're going to put this very.
And by the way, I made an estimate on the doors because $5,000 to replace it.
That's gonna end up in your lap, Lou.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of our idea.
Yeah.
It was our idea to give some options to people.
So, you know, we're kind of gonna back away from that. And, you know, pass it over to the art committee and let them make their recommendations to the board.
We have a couple places that are local that either know doors or have access to doors, which will have the glass inserts, which of course will make sure And we're going to come back with several options amongst ourselves and then narrow it down and give it to you guys, and then you guys can
When you talk about paint, all I've heard is gel coat and stain.
Stain.
Yeah.
Oh, on the doors?
Yes, on the door.
Yeah, because I know we did ours, and it had to be an oil-based stain that I thought.
By the rules, it's supposed to be, it's very specific, it's by the rules, it's gel stain of
Yeah,
the colors
it's
that
right
you
here.
have in there.
Yeah, it's in this sheet. Yeah, Midwest.
Or at least specifically for that, for a cyber
All right, go ahead.
We have a guest speaker today, Joanne Fayell, who is a resident, and asked if she could address the community. Joanne?
Thank you.
Thank you for being patient.
You guys don't already know, I am the mayor of the city of Port St. Lucie, and I also live in Vineyards. A couple of issues that I just want to address the community is we've had some safety issues here in the community, which I spoke to the chief of police, and I also spoke to the lieutenant who's in charge of this area, and the police officer who's in charge of this area. I also did put a close watch patrol in the Vineyards and in Heatherwood. We do have a little bit of gang wannabes in Heatherwood that are sneaking over into the Vineyards, but we did make 2 arrests. I think the board knows about it. We're keeping a close watch on the community. There's a problem with the fishing. You know, some residents are allowing it in their backyards, which there is no fishing allowed. I recommended that we post right by Crosstown Parkway more signage if we can. I know, Dennis, I don't know if that's your area. Because we had I think a week or 2 ago, we had a guy with a canoe come over. So I think it's a recreational area at parks. And when the police officer got there, he said, well, show me the signage where we can't do this or trespassing. So I think it would behoove us if we put more signage out there in reference to, well, when residents who live behind lakes allow it, then it's just going to open up more doors for everyone else to come in and do it. So we have to be very, very careful, and because that's what we hear from the police department.
Joanne, if the police, if one of them wants to walk, John and I,
Absolutely.
show up, and then I could show Dennis, or actually I work with somebody with the services district, it would be easier that way, but if the police officer is willing to give us time, we are available whenever.
I already spoke to Officer Robert Steingrass, who will be contacting you.
Great.
So, and then he'll tell you, because that's the officer who told me about canoeing. Yeah, another issue, I'm hearing some of the comments from the residents here at the Vineyards, and having gone through other HOAs and what they're going through too. Let's just keep in mind too, an open mind on why we move to gated communities, or why we move into HOAs. Personally, the Vineyards to me is a very elegant and exclusive community, and people talk about it. That's why I moved here. I'm currently renting with, now we were offered to see if we could buy a home. But that's why I don't want to do landscaping. I mean, a lot of people want to do it, and they say, well, why should we, have someone do it? But that's why we move into communities like this, is because I don't want to do it. I want somebody to do it. And I like that the whole community it's unified. Because I've seen HOAs relinquish that right, and then it's a nightmare. And I can name 5 right off the bat. So be careful what we ask for, because once we give up that, we can't get it back. And then to get back the community as a whole, You know, if we have a problem with the current landscaper, then yes, maybe we should look at other bids, absolutely. But to give out that right, I just feel that we're just opening the door to horrendous, you know, the way the community is gonna look. I'm proud to be here. I want to get more involved. Like I said, we live in a beautiful community, and we should be proud of that, each and every one of us. And I know it takes a lot. I mean, everybody has their own ways of thinking and doing things, but if we all come together as a group and decide, you know, the aesthetics and the looks of the community, I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to choose the venues. But thank you guys. If there's any questions?
Yeah, keep the police coming.
We do have, unfortunately, it's the Heatherwoods spilling over to the vineyards. I was driving by one night about a couple of weeks ago, and I stopped a kid on a bike. You know, earrings, no shirt, below pants, with a stolen bike from someone from the vineyards. So what is he doing at 11:30, 12:30? He's 13 years old. You know, so, and what they're doing is they're going in and out of backyards. So if you see, and I know that some of the residents here in the vineyards have spotlights that come on for security reasons, well, that's what caught my eye. So I'm glad we need to beef up more the security, only for the simple fact of, you know, we can't control, sometimes parents can't control their kids, we can't tell them what to do, we just lead them the right way, but it's their choice to kind of raise their children. But you know what, when you come into my community and you don't live here, I have a problem with that. So we need to all stick together in reference to that. But if anyone has any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, will you be staying for the open discussion session?
Yes, if you want me to.
Yes, good.
Can I just ask one question? I agree 100% with what she's saying, and I'm one of those homeowners who's facing Big Lake, and I feel very vulnerable because I see people constantly, and I've been here since 2003. I've seen people with boat in there swimming in that lake. All right. Now, here's my problem. I go away sometimes for 2 to 3 weeks. If I put hurricane shelters on, and people are on the outside there, right, supposedly fishing, how do I know they're not casing the place to say, oh, they got hurricane shelter out there, maybe that's a place we should be breaking into, all right? Last thing comment I'm going to make is that I know for a fact that we had signs there at one time that said no fishing, and they were torn down. Why? I have no idea. I don't know if you people have been there long enough, but I think that was probably a mistake of having those torn down.
To commend your police department, and Tony was there, and this is Scott Burnett. We had occasions where there were people fishing, and we made a call after, believe it or not, we tried to handle it a day before ourselves, and when they came back. And your police department was so responsive, twice, and they ended up apprehending them going out. So they could be here in 5-10 minutes, much quicker than the kids could walk across the lakes. So I want to thank you for that.
Just keep in mind too that our crime rate dropped 19% this year, so it's not as, horrendous. And the reason for that is the police department is proactive instead of reactive. We hear bullets that come down from West Palm Beach, especially in the gated community, close to 95 in Georgetown Parkway. So we patrol more because we know what's coming down the path. But just, it's not, of course it is not high crime, murders and robberies. We do get them. We have documented and identified wannabe gangs and stuff like that, so we have that under control, believe me.
Okay, thank you. Dennis, do you want to say something?
Just to answer the question about the no fishing signs, the district is not the Marine Patrol or the Florida Wildlife Commission. We cannot regulate fishing on any of these lakes. It's been misconstrued that we prohibit fishing. It's no trespassing is all that we can, that we have the right to do. If there were no fishing signs put up out there, it was an error. And what you'll see now, and we've worked with Linda, or my staff has worked with Linda, and put out many signs at the request of the HOA. So again, we can't prohibit the fishing. We can prohibit the no trespassing.
Right.
Your line, if you're standing in your backyard and your line goes over and you're still in your yard, I can't stop that. Your line would be then trespassing. So there's a fine line of saying that no fishing is allowed. So
That's why the sign should always say no.
And we'll be there,
no trespassing. That's all we'll put out there is no trespassing.
and we'll put out more signs as required. Okay,
Well, I went to the end of the meeting.
all right, that's all we have for new business.
All right, then, I just want to say that I have here a two-page in the front and the back of things that have been done in this community for only the year 2014. This is a tremendous amount of effort. All of us have spent time. I have spent time from my busy medical practice to try to help this community completely volunteer. And I wish I could put more time, but I know that many of the board members really have a lot of time put into this. And I would like to have this page available to the presidency. So you know that this board, our board, is not sitting around doing nothing. We are working for this community, and we are all taking time from our lives to do this. And we are hearing suggestions from this and that, and we want to try to help this community to continue the way it looks, the way we have moved. One of the things that I move over here is because of the deep restrictions. Because of the fact that there are deep restrictions in this community that will increase the value of my property. I don't want to have a house close next door painted green or something like that. Or have a boat in the middle of the street or something like that, like other communities have. And I'm sure that I have talked to many of the residents here in this community, and they feel the same way I do. That they have moved to this community because of that, because of the way. You see other communities in some other places, and they don't look like this. They have, we have a very small and very close-knit community, and it looks very good. Let's keep it that way.
Okay, we're going to, now's the time when we're going to entertain, residents' comments.
We have a sign up sheet.
There was
I'm going to talk here. I just want to get an understanding. We're talking about extending the fence on the back gate, right?
Yeah.
Extending the fence, okay, and we're also talking about going to the front entrance and putting entry ways where it has to be, you have to be a person of the condominium, of our association to get in and out through those gates.
Yeah.
Now, what about at the end of the wall, on the north end? Is that an opening? Is that, can somebody go up there and walk around that wall?
We planted, I can address that, when they did their landscaping renewal in the front, the bougainvilleas which were there, they had the landscaper replant them in that open area around the wall.
In the both sides.
Okay,
If you want to try to go through a
An
bogey, you're
inexpensive
gonna.
fix.
Okay, we're going to, you all set?
that's fine.
Okay, you stay within the 3 minute. Okay. I guess the first one on the list here is Mr. Fifield. You got 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity. And to clarify a few things, I would love to have a landscaping service in here that I could use on my property. I let it go for 4 years using them, and I wound up having to replace approximately $5,000 worth of shrubberies and plants because they were diseased and they weren't maintained according to the contract. And as a result of that, I have told the board that I don't want the current Nature's Grounds, which happens to be practically the same people that were on Valley Crest, that I don't want them maintaining mine. I've hired a separate one. Now, what I'd love to do would be to work on a committee to where we can specify what we expect from these people and to make sure that we have the equipment capable of handling our homes. What we have is we have equipment that's designed to run up and down the Crosstown Parkway. And I'd be very happy to work on that committee, either head it up or be a member of it, to write the specs for this new contract coming up. And thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment.
Hey, John, we'll seriously take that into consideration.
I'm sorry?
We're going to seriously take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Seriously. Okay? I have no problem with that. Okay? Okay, the next one was Dr. Nappy.
Okay, so I think I'll follow up on what you were talking about security. I've been speaking about security here for a couple of years now. One of which Mr. Dillon was there, the back entrance here on Cashmere Boulevard. It's wide open. A lot of people come in and out of that all the time. Of course, the back gate problem, the front gate problem, the camera issues that we've had over a period of time. And then you sent out a communication on July 10th to all the residents talking about surveillance and cameras and video cameras. Do you recall that on July 10th? Yeah, I don't need to refresh your memory. Well, contrary to what the madam was speaking about, that she stopped someone on a bicycle and someone that had a stolen bicycle, correct? But the board here is saying that people have a right just to walk freely through our community. You even go as far as telling the community that people have a right to their privacy when they're not on private property, they're on common area grounds. And that no one has a right to ask someone who they are or where they live, and that includes, by the way, real estate agents, future homeowners. This is all in your writing. That's completely illogical. Now, and you also solicit and invite all residents to come look at any videotapes that a resident supplied for the sole purposes of law enforcement to investigate several crimes in here and to identify certain vehicles that may be suspect. One of which was the exact vehicle, a Ford F1 pickup with a gray trailer that actually robbed one of the houses in here. I know because I'm the man with that camera. And most of the people in this community know that. Second of all, you, the board, had asked me for additional information like license plate numbers, white vans, so on and so forth. I supplied that in strict confidence as privileged information to assist this board, this community, and law enforcement with an investigation, by the way, which is still an ongoing investigation. I also helped the Sheriff's Department get rid of some drug dealers in here. We've also had the Sheriff's Department in here for violent crimes, right? If the board is telling this community not to ask somebody a question, if someone's legitimate and you say, hello, how are you? Gee, where do you live? Why wouldn't someone answer that? I mean, if we're going to be neighborly, then we should. But if they can't answer that question, and there's been several times when we have asked people, who are they? Oh, I'm here to visit a friend, but you're parked in our cul-de-sac. Waiting for who? No one that lives in the cul-de-sac. The multitude of cars that come into the cul-de-sac on the east end of Southwest Grand Reserve Boulevard. All right? It's nothing more than harassment. If I may. Now, I understand people walk and jog, and I do the same thing, not in this neighborhood because, but 7:13 a.m. in the morning, here's a woman walking in our cul-de-sac with a camera, videotaping my house.
Excuse me, that's me. I'm running in the community.
Well, you aren't running.
But I'm walking because I'm pulling down. I live in the community. I have my cell phone because I record how much I run and how long I run. If you have a problem with that, you tell me right now.
All right, your 3 minutes is up, your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you for your comments.
Well, just
No, please, let's.
You're getting out of line here.
All right, I said, time is up.
Security's out of line?
You're on line.
I don't hear the person.
You know,
We're supposed to be vigilant.
All right.
I'm not out of line. There's nothing out of line about security. There's nothing out of line with protecting someone's home and their personal property. Nothing at all. There's nothing wrong with asking the question.
next time.
Helen Hale, it's your turn to speak. I'll speak in a minute.
My name is Ellen Hale, I live at 911 Southwest Grand Reserve Boulevard. And first of all, I want to thank the board, because I think recently with these break-ins, security is on everybody's mind, not just ours. And there were certain things that were sent out, and I wanted some clarification, because we pay $40 for every one of those transponders we have. And now they're saying if we don't give them the information, which we gave them already, they're going to invalidate it. We are the only development in Westham that have transponders. Everybody has gone to the reader, because the problem with the transponders are you can drive right up to that back gate and from the road push your transponder and it opens that back door. You don't even have to go near the door. So you could drive up, push the transponder, make a U-turn, and you've let someone in that gate. Every work order, people during the day have a work combination. I don't know why. Because if the postman had one, and the electric company, the other people that are on this property, the homeowners should be home. There shouldn't be people that could just access here because they repair things. There shouldn't. There should be some accountability. And the only way to have accountability is through a fob system or a reader system. These combos are, it's laborious for you to keep changing combos, first of all, and then mailing people the combos that need changed. And then for you to give changes to people. I mean, rethink it. Second thing, while I'm here, 3 minutes, because I'd like you to speak on it, is cameras. I was in New York during 9/11, and there's a reason why there's so much surveillance these days. And there's a real defining difference between being recorded, which all of us are, every day, right? And really infringing and stalking people. And I'd like you, because there's state statute, to speak on that if you would.
I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. There's nothing prohibiting people, that's what you're asking, from videotaping. It's a matter of invasion of privacy. You can't point your cameras and videotape through windows and stuff. Is that
yes,
what you're trying
but
to
anywhere else, right?
Can't be an invasion of privacy. There's not a bright line on that. But well, I think what the board was trying to say when it sounded like use discretion when you're talking to other residents in the community, when you're making reports about potential crimes. We can't have a situation where there's hundreds and hundreds of everything in the community is reported because it overloads management, it overloads, I'm sure, local police. We've got to use discretion and be reasonable when we're doing that stuff.
But now, any and all videos.
That's almost
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, the one other thing with the videos, because there was something said about, and this is a gray area, and maybe your office has already handled it, where those video clips are official documents, as stated, so are our video clips. Okay? That's considered, because it's owned by the association, and it's a permanent record, that those records, the ingress and outgress, are supposed to be retained for 7 years also. They are. I did research on this, and it's a very gray area within the law that when you have an official record, which those cameras are official records, they have to be maintained and for that the residents have access to them for 7 years,
Minimum.
I don't
okay?
know about that.
We don't maintain our gate.
I know we don't. That's what we're saying. It's a real gray area. It's not to say whether we do or
We're
don't.
not going to, we'll have to put out a special assessment because they take over them, don't they? Yeah, so
But-
y'all want to pay?
But we don't make the law. We live within the law.
Well, luckily it's a gray area. Yeah.
All right, yeah,
Can
you
I say
want to
something?
yes.
Because I don't know if it's legal that I get accused of doing something I don't do and being recorded, because I don't appreciate that. I really don't appreciate that, because I live in the community, I run here, I have my iPhone with me.
Well, she's addressing me, so I have the right to respond.
I'm asking if it's legal. I'm addressing the board. I want to know if it's legal that they're doing that, they're accusing me that I'm videotaping.
I can answer that.
I don't ask you, I ask the
We're not gonna get into it.
Yeah, this isn't the appropriate time, but
But I apologize.
You don't
For
have
this
to
happening.
And I
You don't have
apologize.
to, it's not your fault.
I think that your message has been received, at least I hope it has. Okay?
Yeah. Because if it happens again, I will go and press charges.
Good.
Press charges for what? You're not saying good? Rather than solve this?
If there were no more
I'm
comments.
not stalking you.
I was going to go to adjourn the meeting.
you probably don't know your neighbors, right? I mean, why would
I've been talking to you since I've been this.
Meeting adjourned.
How are you, sir?
Where are you going? Can I ask you two quick
Sure, I was just getting ready to say, let me use the restroom real quick, and I'll meet you either in the back in here or outside. That's okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Nice meeting you.
Hey, you too.